Seaside is a town of just over 30,000 residents located in Monterey County, California. If you're considering moving to the area, in this video I will be going over the pros and cons of living in Seaside. What's up everyone, Toby Fernie, local realtor here in the Monterey area. Seaside has a special place in my heart as just over 8 years ago, the reason that I moved to the area was to teach at a school located on Yosemite Street in Seaside. Since then, I have purchased 2 houses in Seaside and currently live in Seaside. There are some great aspects of living in Seaside and also some drawbacks. I'll be going over both of those in this video. If you're considering moving to places like Carmel Valley, Carmel-By-The-Sea, Pebble Beach, Pacific Grove, or Monterey, check the description below as I have linked videos about those towns as well. If after watching this video you decide that Seaside is the type of place that you'd like to live or somewhere else in the area, be sure to give me a call, send me a text or an email, and let me know how I can help you reach your real estate goals. As a realtor, I have to be all over the peninsula. One day I might be in Big Sur, the next I might have to be in Pacific Grove, and the day after that I might have to go for a showing in Salinas. When I first moved to the area, I rented and lived in Pacific Grove. At times it felt like it was a bit out of the way to be in Pacific Grove. There's kind of only 2 ways in and out of Pacific Grove, and if I had to go to places like Big Sur or Salinas, it felt like quite a drive from Pacific Grove. Living in Seaside, I can get to Marina, Monterey, Delray Oaks, Pacific Grove, Carmel-By-The-Sea, all within 15 minutes. In places like Carmel Valley, Big Sur, and Salinas in under 30 minutes. It's also pretty convenient to get to places like Santa Cruz in under 40 minutes. San Jose is around an hour away, and San Francisco less than 2 hours. Not to mention I can walk to the ocean in 15 minutes and be biking on the Monterey Bay Recreational Trail in mere minutes. It's affordable. And I put the term affordable in air quotes there, and I'll go over why that is. Affordability is all relative. And if you've watched this channel for a long time, you know that I often mention it can be expensive to live in Monterey County, especially if you're looking at prices in Pebble Beach, Carmel-By-The-Sea, and Big Sur. So take the term affordable as you will. Seaside borders Monterey, and as I just mentioned, it's a short drive to most places on the Monterey Peninsula. You can enjoy all that the peninsula has to offer, and it's going to come at a fraction of the cost to some of those surrounding towns like Carmel, Pebble Beach, Pacific Grove, and even downtown Monterey. As of August 2024, there are currently 31 single-family residences for sale on the market with a median list price of $859,000. And if you're from some parts of the country like the Midwest or the South, right now you might be saying to yourself, I thought you said it was affordable to live in Seaside. Well, if you compare this median price to Seaside's neighbor, Monterey proper, the median list price in downtown Monterey is currently $1,487,000. And those houses that are in downtown Monterey aren't necessarily nicer houses than the ones that you're purchasing in Seaside. So you can save around $600,000 for a short 5-minute drive. And there are currently a few outliers on the market in Seaside, such as some homes listed at the Enclave, which is a new housing development by Shea homes, and Seaside Highlands, which was a development that was built in the early 2000s. Those are going to be the most expensive houses in Seaside. Seaside and certain parts of Salinas are going to be the 2 most affordable areas that you can purchase a house within a 30-minute drive to Monterey proper. The city of Seaside has been working for years to revitalize and renovate downtown Seaside. And when I'm talking about downtown Seaside, I'm referring to Broadway Avenue. Please don't be thinking of a busy downtown area like you might find in big cities like San Francisco, San Jose, or even on places like Alvarado Street and Cannery Row in downtown Monterey. That being said, there are some cool restaurants, coffee shops, bars, including Other Brother Brewery, Buffalo Wild Wings if you're looking to watch some sports, a jazz club, and a locals bar called Sportsman. There are also sometimes events like antique car shows on Broadway Avenue during Monterey Car Week, and the area is a great option for locals if you don't feel like driving to downtown Monterey. The name of the town is Seaside, fittingly so because it is right next to the ocean in Monterey Bay. Seaside is built on a hill, so as you go higher up on some of the streets in Seaside like Military Avenue, Ord Grove, or even Broadway Avenue, many of the houses are going to have ocean views. Some of the houses have sweeping ocean views. Plenty of towns on the Monterey Peninsula like Carmel-By-The-Sea, Pebble Beach, Big Sur, and Pacific Grove will have ocean views, but like I said earlier in the video, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for ocean views in those other towns in comparison to Seaside. Seaside is by far the most affordable town with a potential for ocean views on the Monterey Peninsula. I talk about food a fair amount on this channel, the best restaurants and places to eat on the peninsula. Seaside has one of the most diverse arrays of restaurants and food choices. Seaside is a bit more multicultural than some of the other towns on the Monterey Peninsula, and the food options and restaurants reflect that. There are some fantastic Mexican restaurants, Thai, Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese, German, seafood, sushi, pizza, and one of my favorite breakfast restaurants on the peninsula is also located in Seaside. Check the description in the video below to see a link to that video of the Butterhouse. Okay, let's get into some of the cons of living in Seaside. Like I said earlier, I live in Seaside, I love Seaside, so if any of my neighbors see this, sorry, just keeping it real. Houses tend to be on the smaller side in Seaside. Along with that, the lots that the homes are built on are also on the smaller side. When I mention that homes are more affordable in Seaside, that also comes with houses being on the smaller side. Depending on where you're from, you may not be expecting to pay $859,000 for a 1,500 square foot house. That's $710 per square foot. But again, as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a much more affordable dollar amount per square foot than you're going to get in some of the surrounding towns on the Monterey Peninsula like Carmel and Pebble Beach. Along with the houses and the lots being on the smaller side, there are plenty of streets in Seaside that are one way and narrow, with plenty of cars that are parked on the street. Certain streets in Seaside are packed with cars and it can be difficult to maneuver through those narrow one-way streets. Finding parking along the street can be a bit of a pain, and many of the houses on those streets are smaller, likely only going to have a one-car garage and a driveway that will fit one car. There are plenty of streets in Seaside that are not as crowded and are two-way streets, but if you're planning to purchase a house in Seaside on one of those two-way streets with a larger home on a larger lot, chances are you're going to be paying on the higher end of Seaside, likely above that $859,000 median list price. As is the case with many of the houses on the Monterey Peninsula, homes in Seaside tend to be on the older side. Of the 31 single-family residences currently on the market, the average age of those houses is 50 years old. The majority of those houses are at least 60 years old, being built before 1964. I've seen hundreds of home inspections of houses on the peninsula, and I tend to find that in towns like Seaside, many of the houses in those home inspections will show that there are deferred maintenance or older systems when it comes to things like the plumbing and electrical. In areas like Monterey or Pacific Grove, houses do tend to be on the older side, but often you will see that the sellers have updated those systems either when living there or prior to putting them on the market. There are going to be two areas where houses will be on the newer side in Seaside. One, there is a new housing development being built by Shea Homes called the Enclave. The Enclave is right off Black Horse and Bayonet Golf Course. The second is called Seaside Highlands. Those houses were built back in the early 2000s, so most of the homes there are around 19 to 21 years old. But those two areas are going to have the highest prices in Seaside. Check the description below to see videos of the Enclave and Seaside Highlands. Even in the time that I've lived in Seaside, I have seen a fair amount of turnover when it comes to restaurants and businesses. Part of that may be due to the fact that towns like Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Carmel are going to get a high influx of tourists that come to the area every year that Seaside may not get. When it comes to food in some of those other towns like Monterey, if you got a restaurant that is down on the Fisherman's Tourist Wharf, whether it's a good restaurant or not, likely there are people who are there visiting that are going to walk in and eat at one of those restaurants. Seaside restaurants and businesses are more so going to be frequented by locals rather than the 2 million tourists who come to the Monterey Peninsula every year. That means that the quality of the food and service in Seaside is going to have to be different than you might have in places like Monterey. I've seen some good restaurants that opened, closed not too long after they opened, whereas in other places like Carmel or Monterey, there might be some restaurants that aren't as good that are able to stay open longer. There are just a lot of cars in Seaside, on the road, parked on the street, parked in people's driveways. I consider Seaside to be a pretty walkable town, and I often will walk from my house down to the Monterey Bay Recreational Trail or walk down to the beach, but I don't tend to see a whole lot of people who walk throughout the community of Seaside. I more so see people in their cars. I don't know if it's just my street, but there are some really loud trucks and motorcycles that seem to fly down my street thinking that they're on the Autobahn, and it's actually a street that is connected with a school. The Auto Mall is also located in Seaside, so beyond people driving their personal cars, there are also plenty of people who come to Seaside to lease or purchase cars or get their cars repaired. If you have any questions about Seaside, are a seller wondering the value of your home in today's market, or a buyer looking for your dream home in the area, be sure to give me a call, send me a text, or an email at toby.fernie@gmail.com. Like and subscribe, stay tuned for future content all about real estate and living here in Monterey, California. Click the icon to subscribe to more content from living in Monterey, California.